Okay, so this lesson is the core relationship between the head and the pelvis, and it's on your side, movements of the leg and head. So lie on whichever side you prefer. Let's say if you had pain on the left side, I'd have that side on the ground. So if I had pain on my left side, I'd be lying on my left side. So just lie on whichever side you prefer. I'm going to lie on my right side. And again, make sure you can have an allocated amount of time where you're not disrupted and you can really feel and sense what's going on with these movements. And just bend both knees up towards your chest, kind of. Have both arms out in front of you like for clapping. The two arms are straight. And just slowly start to slide your left hand forward and bring it back. So you're just sliding the left hand away from you. And remember that this is not a movement of the elbow joint, and it's not even so much a movement, it's slightly a movement of the shoulder blade, but it's more a movement of your spine. So make the movement originate from your spine. So you lengthen the arm by rolling your spine. And just feel for you what participates in this movement. Don't go as far as you possibly can. Always start small and slow, and you can progressively get bigger. But just slowly rolling forward and back slightly with the upper torso, and letting that left hand lengthen towards the wall in front of you or whatever's in front of you, and letting just the two hands slide on each other. So you're bringing the left hand away and then towards you. And again, while doing these movements, make sure that you're always going within the range of comfort for you. What we're trying to do here is remap your movement patterns. And the way we can remap movement patterns is by doing them slowly and by giving your system time to feel. Notice your breathing. Feel how you're doing that and what areas of your spine are participating. And now, bring your left hand somewhere in front of your chest. And so just put your hand somewhere in front of your chest. And start with a small movement of lifting your head away from the floor and then come back to the floor. So think about lifting your left ear towards your left shoulder. Right, I'm lying on my right side. So if you're lying on your left side, just reverse the instructions. So slowly lift the head away from the floor and then bring it back down to the floor. And think about your left ear coming closer to your left shoulder and coming back down. And just feel the weight of your head right now when you're doing this movement. Make sure it's small. And feel how, for me, I can feel that if I'm using my neck, if I'm just using my neck and not helping so much with the spine or pelvis, it is quite a lot of work in the neck muscles. And just feel and think for yourself, what would make this movement easier? What would make it more comfortable? And now, this next time, put your left hand above your head on your right temple. So just the fingers and the palm will kind of be around the space right above your right ear. And now, again, slowly lift and lower the head. Start with a small movement. Don't do your full range of motion or the full amount of movement. And then put your head back down. It's always important also to rest in between each movement. So it's not like I'm lifting my head and then bringing it back, but not fully letting go of all my muscles and letting my head back down. So make sure you let your head back down, you let go of the whole movement, you forget about it, and then you restart from scratch, from zero. And then lift the head with the help of the arm. And here, again, feel how, do you feel that this is actually a little bit easier now? Now that you have your hand around your head, do you feel that this is actually slightly easier? And why is that? Why is it easier now? Because we're actually lifting more weight, right? Now you're lifting your whole arm and your head. Instead, we were just lifting the head before. And so this is easier because now more of the ribs on your left side are moving. And when the ribs move, the spine is moving. And so the spine and ribs are participating with the movement more. And this comes back to that same principle of redistributing the effort more throughout the body. So it's not just the neck working so much, but it's now the length of the spine is starting to help more with this movement. And see if breathing in or out as you do the movement helps. What if you breathe out as you do it? So try that, where you rest fully, let go, take a breath in, and then breathe out as you lift your head at the same time. And then just slowly roll onto your back and rest for a moment. And so breathing is so fundamental in all movement. And especially doing a movement, like you'll notice that a fighter will always exhale or breathe out when they punch, or a weightlifter will either hold his breath or breathe out and use the breath in terms of doing powerful movements. So it's the same here with us lifting our head. We can use our breath because everything has to move, right? The ribs and diaphragm all respond to our breath. So if we have an easy breath, a soft breath, and we're breathing out, the rib cage will squish down and actually help create more movement. So you'll feel that as you go through it, but just lie on your back and rest. And just on your back resting, feel just the contact of your back and feel the right arm versus the left arm. So you've been doing movements on the left side. Does the left side and the left arm feel any different for you than the right? Just notice for you. What does it feel like? The depth, the weight of the arm, the length of the arm from the fingertips into the shoulder joint. Just feel and notice for you at this moment. And now roll back onto whichever side you were. I was on my right side, so I'll roll back onto my right. Bend your knees up towards your chest. And now, this time, put your left hand on the temple again. So the left hand on the right temple. Lengthen your left leg down long in continuation with your body. And now, what you're going to do is lift the leg and the head and the arm at the same time. So first, start with everything on the ground. Don't do a big movement. You're going to lift them a little bit off the ground and then come back. So you'll let the leg back down, the arm and the head back down. And do that a few times and progressively get bigger and make sure you're using your breath. Feel how do you use your breath? And how can you use your breath to make this movement easier? So you lift the leg, the head, and the arm at the same time, and then you come back down. And also feel how the left side, the rib cage on the left, and the pelvis, it all shortens, right? Your left side contracts as the right side of your body elongates, right? You're side bending. So you're side bending, lifting the head, lifting the leg. Feel what you can do with your breath. Does breathing in or breathing out help more with this movement? And make sure you're going nice and slow, and make sure, again, always coming back to a full rest where you just let go of everything. Let go of your arm, let your head fully rest, the whole weight of your head. Don't have any work in your neck muscles, any work in the leg for holding up the leg and the hip muscles. You let everything down, and then again, you restart, do the movement. So it's like starting from scratch, right? Each time starting a fresh movement. And now this next time you do the movement, keep your left foot on the floor, but keep your left leg long. But you're going to keep your foot on the floor And think of a box below your left foot now. Think of an imaginary box and lift the head with the help of the left arm. Lift it away. And at the same time you lift the head, push that box away slightly. It's a small movement. But just imagine you're pushing a box away with your left foot as you lift the head at the same time. And again, can you add breathing into this? Can breathing help this movement? Feel what your pelvis is doing. Do you feel how your pelvis is participating in this movement? And now just rest. Let your arm down. Slowly roll to your back and just rest for a moment. Take a few breaths. Let everything go. Feel the length of the left arm and then compare it to the length of the right. Which arm feels longer for you at this moment? Which arm feels heavier? And now slowly roll back onto the side you were on. And now have your left leg again down long, lengthen it down long. And you can have your left arm just in front of your chest this time. And what you're going to do is you're going to lift the left leg up and start pointing the toes towards the ceiling. So you're going to rotate your whole leg and feel that you rotate the whole leg, the toes point up into the corner of the room, or the toes point up towards the ceiling and the heel points down towards the floor. And feel what your body does. How does your spine and pelvis respond? And then bring it back down and rest. Really do just a few repetitions and then let your leg down. You're not wanting to strain the muscles in your hip. And so you just lift it up, you point it towards the ceiling a few times, come back to neutral. Feel what happens in your sternum. Does your sternum drop down a little bit? Feel how your pelvis has to roll back and you go actually into flexion. Your pelvis and lower back round, it goes into a rounded position, and then you come back to neutral and let the leg down. And so do that at your own rate, right? Make sure you're taking care of yourself, and anytime you feel it's the muscle, you feel like you're getting fatigued, rest. Take care of yourself. Make sure you're resting. We're not so much an exercise class where we're trying to get you strong. It's more of helping you organize yourself in a different way. So now come back, point the toes towards the ceiling. Feel how you can do something with the center of yourself, with your pelvis and lower back. And now this next time, point your heel towards the ceiling and the toes towards the floor. And feel what's different about now moving your leg inwards. So now you're rotating your leg inwards. Feel how now you use more of the lower back. Your arch actually arches, your back arches, and you drop your belly towards the floor. So feel how now it's the opposite. Feel how your sternum actually lifts up a little bit. It's like you're going to roll to lie on your belly. And then just let that down and rest. So you only do a few movements. You just do a few with the leg of pointing the heel up, and then come back down and rest. Make sure you're taking care of yourself here. Really important. And now, slowly just rest on your side for a moment. Slowly let the leg down. Just rest on your side. Feel how you're resting on your side. Feel the length of your right side. So from your right hip joint, from the greater trochanter, so the outside of the right femur, up to your shoulder. Feel how that whole left side, that whole right side, or if you're on your left, just feel how you're making contact on the floor side, so the side of your body that's making contact with the floor. Feel those ribs and feel if more of you has given up to gravity. And now, come back with your left hand over your head, grabbing your right temple, just above the right ear. And now what you're going to do is you're going to lengthen your left leg down long in continuation with your spine. And you're going to, at the same, not yet, but just listen to the instructions for one moment. You're going to lift the arm, the head, and the leg at the same time. And then one time you're going to point your toes. You're going to lift and keep everything lifted. And then once you have everything lifted, you're going to rotate the toes and the foot towards the ceiling. And then you're going to rotate the heel and foot towards the ceiling. So one time pointing the toes and then the heel. But you're going to do it while keeping your leg and head and arm in the air. And feel how your head responds to what your foot does. So try that out, where you're pointing the foot towards the ceiling and then you're pointing the heel towards the ceiling. So one time the toes and then the heel. And feel how when your heel goes towards the ceiling, your pelvis rolls forward, the head actually comes back, and your whole back arches. And then feel how when the toes point towards the ceiling, you actually go into a rounded position, the pelvis rounds, and your head comes down. So one time, the whole length of the spine is an extension, and then the other time, the other movement, the whole length of the spine is in flexion. So it's really showing you the relationship between your head and pelvis here. Feeling that the head and pelvis has a direct relationship to make a movement very easy. And see, now it's become much more comfortable on my hip joint when I'm using now the length of my spine and my lower back. And remember to rest in between, right? So don't just follow how much movements I'm doing. Really check in for yourself. You may do more than me, or you may do less than me, but just, it's not about the repetitions. It's always, all these movements and these movement lessons are really about the quality of the movement. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. And so now, slowly actually just lie on your back and rest. Just lie on your back. Lengthen your legs long, arms long. Take a breath and rest. Draw a line in your imagination in between, in the direct center, the direct midline of your body, all the way through the middle of your nose, the middle of your chin, the middle of your sternum, down through your belly button, all the way down through you, right? And just feel the difference between the left side and the right side. Does one side feel, and do you sense it more clearly in your mind's eye? So in your feeling, in your sense of yourself, does the left side feel more clear or the right side? Just notice whatever it is for you. And now slowly again, roll to the side you've been on. So for me, it's my right side. Roll onto whichever side you're on. And now, this next time, you can keep your left hand actually just standing. Take your left leg, lengthen it down long below you. And I'm just going to explain it first, and then we're going to do it. What you're going to do is you're going to lift your left leg up. Make sure you use your pelvis, right? So when you lift your leg up, your pelvis will roll up. And then you're going to keep your foot fixed in space. You're going to try keeping your foot in the same spot in the air. And you're going to roll your pelvis forward and back around. So your leg and foot stay still, and you're just going to move your pelvis forward and back. So let's try that. So on your side here, first just lift your left leg up straight. Make sure you use your pelvis. And now start rolling the pelvis backwards and forwards while keeping the foot in the same spot in the air. So your foot, oh, you can't see my foot in the camera, but your foot will stay in the same spot. Here, if I move up, you'll see. So your foot will, so you couldn't really see me there, so I'm readjusting here. So again, we're in the same position here lying on whatever side you've been doing it for the lesson. I'm on my right side. So on your right side, head down, head is resting. Left leg, lengthen it long. Then lift the left leg up, and you're going to point the toes towards the ceiling and then point the heel towards the ceiling, right? So first, point the toes towards the ceiling. Your pelvis rolls back. Your chest comes down. You actually go into a little bit of flexion. And then you roll the pelvis forward, roll the chest forward, the back goes into extension as the heel points up towards the ceiling. And do those two movements. But remember, keep the foot in the same spot and you're just moving the pelvis forward and back around that foot, right? So the foot stays in the same spot in space and the pelvis rolls forward and back around that foot. And make sure you're resting when you need to rest. So you rest, and then play with it. Do it a few more times, then rest. Always, always, always. It's such a crucial rule and important to take care of yourself, because what we're wanting to learn is not something that's hard, not something that requires a lot of effort. What we're wanting to learn is something that is more effortless and more easy. So come back and make sure it's easy. Keep the foot in the same spot. Roll the pelvis forward and back. When you roll the pelvis forward, drop the belly out. That's it. And now just rest on your side for a moment. Feel, is the right side of you, and again, whatever side you're on, just match my instructions to that side. So for me, I'm on my right side. Is the right side of you more flat to the floor? Is more of your right side in contact with the floor? Have more of those little muscular contractions let go? Have more of those muscles given up their constant work and tension, and now have fully succumbed to gravity, right? So now they're doing what they're supposed to do, which is when they're not supposed to be working against gravity, they let go. And now take your left hand, reach it over your head, grab the right side of your temple, just above that right ear. And now lengthen the left leg down long. And you're going to lift both and keep them bent in the air. So you're going to side bend on the left side, keep them both lifted. And first, look to your toes roll slightly on your back. You're not going to roll completely on your back, but your toes point up towards the ceiling. You look at your toes, and then your heel goes backwards. And at the same time, think about bringing the back of your head towards the heel. And then you look towards the toes, come more into flexion, right? The belly and chest sink down into flexion. And then when your heel goes backwards behind you, your whole back goes into extension and the back of the head. Think of bringing the back of the head towards the heel. And then it comes forward. So you go forwards and back and feel, I forgot to say, make sure your right arm is in a spot where you can roll on it. I guess you can roll on your right arm in front of you too, but I prefer having it kind of up at a 45 degree. And just play around with that. Roll a little forwards and back. And feel the connection between your head and pelvis, right? It has such a direct relationship. When I move my head back or when I move my head forward, it has a direct relationship with what happens with the pelvis. You know, it wouldn't feel right for me, let's say, moving my pelvis forward to bring my head forward, or moving my pelvis back to move it just doesn't work. It just doesn't even feel organic, right? So it's almost like your body just knows what to do and what feels best, right? Okay, now just lie on your back and rest. Let it all go. Let go of the movement and just feel yourself in lying. Feel the length of the two legs, the length of your arms. Feel your jaw. Let go of your jaw, your face. And pay attention to the left side of your face versus the right side. Does one side, the tone of one side, feel softer than the other? Again, pay attention to the length of the left leg versus the right leg. I feel a difference there. But again, just what do you feel? My feelings and internal feelings will be different than yours. So just pay attention to what you feel. Come back onto your right side. Left hand on top of right hand. Bend your knees up a little bit towards your chest. And slowly slide the hand forward and back. And here, just feel if this is any easier. Remember, sliding it from the spine. You're not bending and straightening your elbow. You're sliding it from the spine. And feel here if this is becoming any easier for you. If it feels any softer. If the back feels more mobile and flexible doing this. Okay. Thanks for joining me for today's lesson at Move to Thrive. I hope it benefited you in some way.